Hey everyone. I've been a little slow at putting out Lorcana content. For the past few weeks, I've been doing some Magic content, just because of the lack of Pixelborn. That getting shut down. I've been trying to work on getting time to do some webcam games for Lorcana. But anyways, so much has happened in the past couple of days that I gotta talk about it today. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Ruxora, and we've got a huge video here to talk about all sorts of different announcements. Obviously, I'm sure most people have heard about the Errata update at this point. That is my main reason for making this video, and we will get to that. But I also really wanted to talk about getting an Ursula. You can see right there, super hype about it. So I did 2 set champs over the weekend. One did not go so great. The other one went really well, obviously. So I wanted to talk about that. So we're going to do that first, and then we'll also kind of talk about the Errata update and kind of where we go from there. Before we get into that, if you enjoy this content, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Again, if enough people want to see more Lorcana content, I will definitely do some of those webcam games. I just kind of haven't been super enthused because I have other ways of kind of getting some games in. So in any case, let's go ahead and talk about the tournament. All right. So yeah, I went to 2 tournaments over the weekend. The one on Saturday, I played Green still at and got 20th. I had a lot of splits. It was pretty rough. I didn't really enjoy playing the mirror. And I also played a list that was a little bit wonky. Wasn't the biggest fan of it. So I don't think I'm going to be going back to that list, especially with the Errata update, which we'll talk about. Yeah, so I was really deflated after Saturday, because again, I felt like I was playing the quote unquote best deck, but just wasn't really getting the results and didn't really feel like I had a lot of agency. You can see I got a little bit unlucky just with all the splits. But it is what it is. So anyways, I was really struggling what to do. And so I said, okay, let's just, I don't want to play the mirror. That was like one of the things that I said. I really disliked the experience of the green steel mirror. It just felt very not skill intensive and felt very volatile. So I was kind of looking for something that was not going to be that. I also played a lot of green steel on that Saturday, so I said, oh, well, maybe I won't play as much green steel, so maybe I should play a deck that is a little bit better against things that are not green steel, right? Maybe all the kind of green steel players congregated in one store and not in the other. Again, this is all just, I'm just going over my thought process. Is this legitimate? Probably not, but that's just what I thought. So I ended up playing this Ruby Amethyst list. I had not really played a lot with this deck. I had full frontal. I'm not the biggest fan of this deck. Not that I think it's bad. I just find it very boring. I played at my local like casual night, thinking I would hate it, and I hate it. I hated it. I hated it. Let's put it that. Let's start there. I'm not the biggest fan of this list. I know this is a really weird way to intro a deck that I topped a tournament with. Um, but I just find the list very boring. The deck as a whole is just a little bland. Let's put it that way. I like a little bit more spice. I like a little bit something that makes me feel more unique. And this list just doesn't do that for me. Amethyst Steel did, right? Amethyst Steel is very similar to Ruby Amethyst, but made me feel like I was playing a more a kind of off meta or kind of more unique deck. In any case, I hated the deck, but I hated it less than I thought I would, because while the deck itself looks pretty bland, there are a lot of interesting decisions, and I did feel like I could kind of have some agency over the games, right, and kind of use my skill as a player to kind of increase my win percentage, which is not something that I really felt like I was doing with Green Steel. It really felt more like the deck was playing itself, right? Green Steel just being a deck of just saying, hey, Bucky plus cards, or play Diablo and play the greens, the Green Steel cards, and they just kind of naturally come into play and do their thing. Whereas this again required a little bit more creativity for actually executing the game plan of the deck. So that was pretty nice. So I felt good enough going into the tournament saying, hey, I feel like I can play the deck well enough to kind of play this deck. But that being said, I think I have something like 50 games with this deck. I really have not played this deck for too much. Actually, probably under 30. Again, I'm just estimating here, but yeah. The way this list you'll see differs a little bit from some other lists is not a ton of decks are playing both Chernobog's Followers and Magic Broom. A lot of decks that I've seen are running just the 4 copies of Chernobog's Followers and instead running Maleficent Sorceress kind of in this slot. You'll also notice that this version of Ruby Amethyst, or kind of the set 4 classic Ruby Amethyst lists, have now cut Crab. There's just kind of no room to deal with it. And you really don't need the Crab to deal with Castle. Usually you can, if you have something on board. Also, Sisu could also do a really good job of just battling the castles. But yeah, you usually just don't end up needing the Crab. And for a lot of threats, that the Crab, for a lot of characters that the Crab would help you answer, the new card in Be King Undisputed helps you do that kind of just the same. So the other thing now kind of going to that is unique about this list is the full 4 copies of Be King Undisputed, right? Kind of going in on that Lady Tremaine effect. And I just think this card was super good for the weekend, particularly against all of these Sapphire decks. This card overperformed, as we'll kind of talk about. So anyway, this list is as you probably are aware of, has not the best matchup into green steel. It's fairly even. I would say probably something like 45-55 in favor of green steel. Right. I think if you can land, if you can kind of stifle their Diablos and their and then just get empty-handed and kind of be able to contest the board from there, you should be able to get to your powerful late game cards, and then you can kind of take over the game from there. So actually in the first matchup, first match of the day of this tournament. I will should also just tell you how I ended up. Spoilers. I ended up second. I ended up making it to the finals. I lost in the finals to somebody that was teched for the matchup. Which again, I don't have the actual deck lists, but yeah. But I'll talk about that when we get there. But anyways, So going down to 1 copy of Lady Tremaine, and then going up a copy of Be King Undisputed, just because Lady Tremaine is a little bit slower. It comes into play, or it comes accessible to you later in the game, right? And getting that 6 ink, whereas Be King Undisputed could be played on turn 4 or could be played on turn 5 if you sing it. So yeah, I really liked that aspect of the card. But I do actually have some critiques of this list as I'll talk about. But in any case, it got me there is what matters. So in my first, I think, 2 matches, I do end up playing against green steel. The first match I play against one of my friends, one of my people I know from locals, who's a very good player, who's perfectly fine. He's new to card games, but he's a smart individual. And we split the matchup, which was really, really nice. We had a game where it looked like I was coming back in game 1, but he ended up pulling through. And then game 2, he had an amazing start. He had the Diablo into Bucky into shift Diablo, but I had the brawl, and I forget what happened afterwards. But somehow I won that game. I had an auditory moment of like as I'm in the process of turning the corner against green steel, where I went, this is the game that I'm winning, right? It just like that. His start was so much better in the second game than in the first game. I was just surprised that I didn't go 0-2. So that happened, and then I ended up 2-0ing another green steel player who's a little bit less experienced. What else did I play against? I played against Amethyst Steel, but they were playing some weird stuff, and that matchup is just super good. Unfortunately, that deck while better against green steel or some other decks, is worse in the mirror or in the amethyst mirror. Um, what else did I play against? I played against a couple of ruby sapphire or sapphire steel decks. And so that was really the big thing that benefited me in this tournament. Was this was just the right meta call. I don't know. I heard about other ruby amethyst decks at this tournament, but I didn't see anything. From all that I could tell, I was the only ruby amethyst player at the top tables. So that, just combined with all the other top players being sapphire players, just really benefited me. So yeah, this deck has a really good matchup into sapphire, both sapphire steel and ruby sapphire. So that to me was just like really giving me my energy back. So anyways, we keep going, and then I get to the top table. I'm at table one, and I play against another very competitive player from my locals, who ended up playing Amber Steel, but not the Amber Steel that you're thinking of. It was like a pure aggro deck. There's no songs, like no aerial stuff. It's just playing all the good Amber Steel aggressive cards. Smeeze. It's playing Lawrence. It's playing Robin Hood. All of these things. It's playing Rapunzel's, obviously. Excuse me. I don't have the list in front of me. Piglet, right, is another huge thing about that deck. So I don't have the list in front of me, but it just clobbered me. I also had really bad hands, so that was rough. So I went 0-2 there. Obviously, again, yeah, Ruby Amethyst does tend to struggle, or can end up struggling against some aggro decks. And then I forget where I ended up, but the last round I thought I needed to 2-0 in order to win. I was super happy to play against another Sapphire Steel deck. I end up 2-0ing the match, and after that, we are all having like a conversation, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. And he was like, yeah, if only I split, I think I made it. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Because I felt bad. Again, this is a competitive tournament, so I'm not like feeling bad and like, oh, but I kind of would have been okay splitting, if I could have made top cut. But I ended up playing, for seed by accident, and getting second seed. The only other person with the higher seed being, again, the Amber Steel player that beat me in the previous round. In any case, yeah, I made it to the top cut, which got everyone 21 packs of any set, which is quite a bit. Because everyone decided to split. I should say we split the pack prize pool, but obviously we still had to compete for the Ursulas, obviously, as well as the playmat, or the two playmats. So obviously it was feeling good that I was like, okay, cool. I actually ended up getting a box. I paid them I think $20. So first of all, prize support for this tournament was great. I love the store. Props to Gem Bank cards if you're in the Orlando or the Florida area, the Central Florida area. Highly recommend. Pretty nice store in the middle of DeLand. DeLand is kind of not a place that I recommend going to or living in. But sorry, no offense to Delandians. But yeah, looking around, I was like, this place is not super good looking. But anyways, sorry, I'm not trying to crap all over people that live in DeLand. Anyways, so I got second seed, which is super great. So again, because the way that this works is the person with the higher seed in the matchup gets to go first, at least in the best of threes. So that's pretty nice. And yeah, I was feeling good there because I was feeling good about best of threes as opposed to best of twos, because I get some more information, I get some more insight into their playstyle, as well as it wasn't the case for the first matchup. But for all the other matchups, I actually knew what deck my opponent was playing, as it was no longer a surprise. They knew what I was playing, I knew what they were playing. They didn't make deck lists public, right, for this, but in any case, I felt more comfortable in this top 8 scenario than I did at any point during the Swiss portion with the 2-game format. Again, I think people have heard me say I'm not a big fan of the 2-game format. In any case, yeah, so I my first top 8 match was against Amber Steel Song, which is interesting that there were two Amber Steel decks in the top 8. Um, and I was super nervous because I was told, again, I had not played Ruby Amethyst a bunch, and I was not super fleshed out on all of the matchups. But I was told that the Amber Steel matchup was pretty bad. So I was very, very nervous going into it. But they were actually playing a slightly different version of Amber Steel. They were playing a more hero-centric version with Philoctetes and I think Wendy Darling and some other more aggressive hero cards, which is cool, awesome, like, good for them. But it didn't actually make the matchup into Ruby Amethyst good. Let's put it that way. I felt very, very like I 2-0'd them very, very decisively, and I felt really good at that. There, I think by the way, for people who are wondering how good Be King Undisputed is, I ended up casting that on a Robin Hood pretty well. So that felt really, really good. They just played 5 for a Robin Hood Captain of Sherwood, and I went, it's gone. Yeah. So super, super powerful card in the right scenarios. Obviously, again, has the times where it's pretty lackluster. But yeah. What was I gonna say? So I win that first match, which instantly locks me into an Ursula. So that was really all I wanted to do. I kind of said, okay, I'm happy with my packs, but if I can get an Ursula, I'm set. I win that, and I'm like, awesome. Like, I don't even care about what happens. I do not care about a playmat. I do not care about anything else. Obviously, again, winning a tournament would have been really cool. But was perfectly happy just getting the Ursula and kind of getting that achievement, because I don't know for people who might have known, but I did not get to participate in any of the set championships for the last set. Did not even get to enter, right? I was too busy. I was either traveling or I was at other card game tournaments. I was at I think a Magic tournament one weekend. So I was really, really happy that I was able to do this tournament and do so well. Yeah, so sorry. So going back to that, I win against Amber Steel. Awesome. Great. I think I paired up against another Sapphire Steel player. Again, this deck just was the correct deck for this tournament. It seemed. I beat them in, I think, 3 games, right? I think I win the first one. They win the second one. I get the third one. And awesome. I was like, oh, okay, cool. What do I even get? They're like, oh, you get a playmat. What are the 2 playmats? I was like, sweet. Cool. I'm like, awesome. Like, now I'm in the finals. And now that I'm actually in the finals, I'm like, oh, wait, now I actually kind of want to win it. But I sit down and go, wait, so what is the difference, right? What are we playing for? We're literally playing for the word champion on the playmat. Like, I looked at the 2 playmats. One, they look exactly the same. One says champion, one does not. Once I realized that, I was like, okay, the pressure's off. I can kind of sit back and relax and just kind of play my game. So I would have thought that I would be super nervous in that scenario, but I was not. I was actually very, very comfortable. This was, again, this other player, Jonathan, was a player that I knew. He I think competed and did really well in Atlanta. I think made day 2 while I didn't. So obviously very good player. So yeah, so I was not as nervous. Again, I'm also kind of used to playing in these high stakes tournaments. Again, I'm not trying to discount anybody else's experience of if you're nervous in those scenarios. Like, I can totally see that. But I was pretty comfortable. But in any case, unfortunately, it did not work out in the end, or in the long run. They ended up playing Ruby Sapphire, and they were checked super, super hard for the mirror. Or sorry, for this matchup. They were playing every single time I played the Queen's. So for people that don't know the matchup, the important card is Queen's Castle, because it's just a very, very difficult card for them to answer. Maui does not cleanly answer the Queen's Castle. But Hercules does. Hercules is a new card. It's the same cost as Maui, but it's uninkable, but it's a 7/3. So that they played every single time I played the Queen's Castle, they had either Hercules or they were even playing Vitalosphere, which is that new Ruby item. that they can discard in order to uh, buff up their characters. So they play it alongside Maui or any other decently statted characters. They can cleanly answer the Queen's Castle. So yeah, I was never able to answer a Queen's Castle in these scenarios, and unfortunately, in the last game, I did not draw. Like I drew like one goat and didn't draw any more. So that was super unfortunate. But again, not really cut up over it. Um, so yeah, second place. Again, still got a playmat. I have it here. I'm planning on selling this, like everything. I'm planning on selling the playmat and the Ursula. I do like the Ursula. Like I do like it. I do it does is kind of retaining some sentimental value as saying this is the best I've really ever done in a tournament to my knowledge. So in any case, just wanted to share that. Again, I'm sorry, going a little long here. I know all the people listening to this are probably like, get to the errata, get to the errata. So we'll do that now, but I just wanted to just share that. Yep, super happy about that. Oh, actually, very quickly, because I did want to talk about what I would change, because I did walk away from this tournament going, okay, the list, like the deck itself is good. It was the right deck for the tournament, but there were some changes that I would make. So first of all, being I think the Forge King Undisputed, while it's really good into the Sapphire decks, was a bit too much. I think I would still want to go back down to 3, but go up a Lady Tremaine. Yeah, and then go down on 2 of the brooms. I do like the brooms. I like the extra 1-drops. I do still want to have. I think 4 1-drops is not enough. I think 8 is too many. So I might want to do try out 2 brooms and 2 Maleficent Sorcerers, because again, that's just a good card in and of itself. Maybe the crab comes back. I don't know. Just I think 4 1-drops is not enough. 8 1-drops was too many, and I want somewhere in the middle. In any case, those are just my quick ways in which I would kind of tinker with this deck a little bit more. All right, sorry for people that are really wanting to get to the Errata talk. But thank you for indulging me. So I was at work today, and all of a sudden my phone just started blowing up with messages from various Discords and chats and everything. We see this link, click on and see Errata update, and I'm like, oh my goodness, are we actually getting it? Coming from also, by the way, Rochelle, who's the kind of the main kind of designer when talking about kind of the competitive rule set and just kind of competitions in general. For those that don't know, I guess I also didn't talk about it here, just because I'm gonna wait to talk about the set when we actually have spoilers, or with the full spoilers and full information and everything. But Shimmering Skies is gonna be set 5. So that's exciting, and so now we have errata changes coming. For those that don't know, an errata is basically just a change, right? It's we've had this in Magic a couple of times, where there's been an error to a card, and then this is where I'm getting. So we haven't had something like this, which we'll get to. Magic has had stuff where a card has been incorrectly printed that has caused some kind of issue. So the best example was Hostage Taker, which was misprinted such that when it was played, if it was the only creature on the battlefield, would cause an infinite loop and cause the game to end in a draw, which was not their intention. So they errataed the card. They didn't reprint the card. They just kind of said, hey, like the card doesn't work like this anymore. It works like this. And you just kind of went with that. So that would be an example of what an errata would be in a physical card game. But obviously, when you have a digital client, you can also kind of change cards. So that's also kind of like what we have on Magic Arena with things like Alchemy and the digitally rebalanced cards that we have on that platform. So that's just for context. It says errata is something we take not something we take lightly or want to do often, so we want to give context for our plans. Errata bans going forward will be planned to be effective at the hobby launch of the next set. So that makes sense, right? So it sounds like they're going to do this only do this once a set, and only do it when the next set launches. That the timing of that is fine. That's not my problem with this announcement. Unless a change is deemed immediately necessary. So I guess that's even better, right? Where they plan on only doing it so much if they can, once per set. But if there's something crazy that happens that needs an immediate ban or immediate adjustment, they can do that. Say we want to preserve a fun environment for the game and address cards that cause negative experience for players at all levels. We're looking for ways to make printed versions of the updated cards available to players later this year, and it will be corrected in any future printings. Okay, so already we're hearing that this isn't just like we're changing the card a little bit, but we're not reprinting the card. This is the actual card is changing. And we're going to figure out how we're going to do that. And it's Bucky. If you have been living under a rock, Bucky was the most requested card to be banned from Disney Lorcana for quite a while, pretty much ever since the inception of Set 4, when we saw Diablo, Devoted Herald. Just basically being able to empty out your opponent's hand while also drawing an extra card every turn was just super, super powerful. The ward ability on Bucky was also super difficult to deal with. And then also the play style of, or the play pattern, I guess I should say, of emptying out your hand and then having to just continuously top deck is not a fun experience, right? That's another thing that is kind of, I was talking with people about, is that even if the power level of Bucky is appropriate, the gameplay experience of I have no cards in my hand, I'm never going to have more cards in my hand, and I'm just playing off the top of my deck is fairly boring, right? One of the things that makes card games fun and interesting is the ability to play different cards in your hand and kind of have options. If you don't have a hand, you don't have options. You have the top of your deck and you either play it or you don't, or you ink it, or I don't know. So anyway, so all of these things combining to have Bucky be a really hard to deal with card and a very troublesome card. Everyone was calling it for just it to be banned, and it turns out they're not doing that. It seems like they are going to adjust the card, and the card itself will still be legal, but again, only in this new form. So what are the changes? Let's start there. First of all, Bucky is going up in cost to 3, so no longer 2. It's going to be up in cost. That is a typical way to kind of nerf a card, right? In Magic, right? That is Magic, Hearthstone, really any digital card game. If a card is too weak, you make it cheaper. If a card is too strong, you make it more expensive. And that kind of can toy with what's going on there. So before we look at the rest of the card, that could be a decent ban in and of itself, just kind of delaying the turn that Bucky can come out and start making you discard cards is already pretty good. Because being able to just get that kind of value on turn 2 is really nice. 3 cost 1/1 is very weak, right? As I think we'd all agree. So yeah. But they didn't stop there. They removed the ward ability. That was another thing that, again, I said made Bucky very, very troublesome. Whereas a card like Blue Fairy, which has a very similar effect to Bucky, right? It's whenever you play a Floodborn, you draw a card. All right. So again, providing card advantage for playing the Floodborns. But Bucky having ward made it super troublesome. So that makes a lot of sense to me as well. The issue is, this is getting to be a lot. Right now, it is a 3 mana, a 3 cost 1/1 with no protection. Right, so you could just play it. It's a 1/1. Your opponent can now just remove it. Furthermore, there is a update to the actual Squeak ability, which now says whenever you play a Floodborn character, if you use Shift to play them, each opponent chooses and discards a card. So like you don't even get the advantage for going Bucky into something like Jafar, because if you play Jafar Dreadnought, you haven't used the shift ability, so that doesn't work. So not only did Bucky increase in cost, lose its protection, its ability is now harder to use. If you don't see where I'm going with this, this card sucks now. So let's see. First of all, let's read the context here. So Ursula's return gave Bucky players the opportunity to discard multiple cards from opponents' hands as early as turn 2, while building up a board that was very difficult to interact with, creating a stressful environment that just wasn't fun. Word also made Bucky close to untouchable, taking away players' agency to deal with a powerful, cheap threat. For those reasons, we are increases Bucky's cost to 3, removing Ward, and additionally, we feel that requiring Shift better represents the Floodborne experience, as many decks utilizing Bucky have mostly ignored using the Shift mechanic outside of the one Sinister Bird. Here they're referring again to Diablo. So already, you know, as we see there, right? Yeah, that is true. They did not use the shift ability on many of the cards in the green steel deck. Besides the play pattern of, again, Diablo on turn 1 into Bucky into use the shift ability of the Diablo Devoted Herald to instantly start gaining some value there. Right, there was no beast Floodborne target. There's you can play again Jafar Dreadnought, Flynn Rider, all these cards that are Floodborns just naturally, and so that was something also I guess that they didn't like. But yeah, all of these things combined to basically just make Bucky unplayable. So here they're saying that Bucky will still be legal for challenge events. Sorry. Shimmering Skies will only be legal on August 30th, but the Errata effect will go into immediately. So the challenge events in Toronto will have the events, even though Shimmering Skies is not legal. So even though the set is not out yet, the kind of the Errata that will go into effect will be. However, all of the set championships that are taking place in the next couple of weeks, this is not taking effect. So unfortunately, while I might have liked it, Bucky is staying right where he is for the next couple of weeks. That being said, I'm kind of fine with this because I don't really plan in going too hardcore in a lot of the set champs that I'm coming up. I'm not competing in the ones in the upcoming week, so I'm kind of fine. But in any case, this again, the timing of this is all fine. This all makes sense, but here's where we get into the difficulties. That is the end of the explanation. This is a physical card game. I have a physical Bucky card. I cannot just erase the card and start making the new one. They have not given really good information as to how I am going to get this new Bucky card. They have indicated that it will not be in a pack, right? It's not like they are going to add Bucky into the set in Shimmering Skies. And obviously reprinting Floodborne, Rise of the Floodborne is not a feasible thing because no one's going to rebuy those packs. So what are we doing? I don't know. What are we doing? How are we doing this? It is really unclear to me exactly how I am going to receive these cards. Now, that being said, I don't really care because, again, as I kind of hinted at earlier, I think this card is unplayable now. I think everyone agrees that this card is unplayable now. And this is where we get into, again, they mention erratas, and but they also mentioned the word ban. I don't know why we didn't just ban Bucky. They clearly identified, okay, we need to do something about Bucky. They could have just gotten rid of it. I feel like no one would have batted an eye if they just said, hey, Bucky's banned, get it out of here. I don't have a good explanation for why they did this. Instead of just, if they really wanted some kind of Floodborne character in Emerald synergy card or whatever, they could have just banned Bucky and in Shimmering Skies inserted, a kind of new version of Bucky, call it something else, or maybe they make a different version of Bucky. I don't know, but it just kind of doesn't make sense why they would take this measure when, again, as for people who don't know from Magic, right? Again, alchemy and just digitally rebalanced cards exist on Magic Arena, and sometimes the nerfs or the digital rebalances, the erratas, do good things, right? Sometimes they do take a card that is virtually unplayable and kind of make it a little bit better. But for the cards that they nerf, the cards that they errata to make weaker, a lot of times they end up nerfing so hard that they just don't become playable. And the difference between the errataing it and banning it is basically the same thing, right? Here they have effectively banned Bucky. They just have allowed you to play it at a casual level, which again doesn't make sense to me. I don't think casual players are particularly excited about playing this card. So yeah, I have no other really words other than this is very confusing, and I really hope they have a good plan for errataing a card and then making sure players get those errata copies. Because otherwise, I'm very disappointed in the way that they're handling this. I would have preferred this to just be banned, but I also would have expected that if they were going to do something like this, they should have a plan already in place to tell us about. Because right now, I don't like. I wish I could tell you what the plan was, but we don't know. So, so yeah, that's where we're at. But that being said, good riddance. Get this card out of here. Yeah, I don't think anyone is particularly beat up over this card leaving. People can now kind of free up slots in their deck, and also maybe this allows other decks to be more playable. So one of the things is Mufasa is a deck that I was really looking forward to playing more of, but unfortunately it just had a terrible matchup into Green Steel because of Bucky and Diablo, and now that one of those threats is gone, maybe now we have a situation where Mufasa can come in and be a really competitive deck. So that's exciting, at least. So I do like that. So yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on I guess not just like the Bucky ban, but also the errata nature of this whole situation. Again, I'm fairly confused, but again, I hope that more information comes out, and if so, feel free to update in the comments, and I'll probably update in the description as well if we get some more information between now and either the posting of this video or shortly after. So, yeah. Anyways, that's gonna do it for me. Again, I hope you enjoyed, and again, I feel really good about the set champs and the deck list. I'll post this. Actually, I'll make this public for people to see on my Dreamborn profile there. So yeah, feeling good. I'll probably play at another set champ and update y'all if anything cool happens. But till then, I'm gonna sign off here. Again, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.